Welcome everybody to UK Car Imports. This is our How It Works guide. Give you an idea of how to find the best value, where to find the information about cars and some of the best value that there is to be got from the UK. So to start, obviously since Brexit everything has changed. Along with Brexit, the Irish government decided in its wisdom to bring in increased levels of VRT. So we kind of got hit with a double whammy for imports of cars from the UK in that, diesels to a large extent have been banned from the country. Now there are exceptions to that, and only a little bit of legwork will help you out with that. But I don't want to spend too long on this video because I'm conscious that people have a short enough attention span. This is not particularly fascinating stuff. It's interesting and it's valuable, but it's not particularly fascinating. Anyway, so just going through it very quickly, that brief element that I made, point I'm going to make in terms of the cars to target. Really what you're looking for is a petrol electric, a diesel electric, or a pure electric. They're the three main groups of vehicles that do best in this current environment. There is also value to be had with diesel and petrol, but they are, they are specific, and you'll need to go and check them out. I mean, you can check car prices out now on our website versus CarZone or Cars Ireland, because the full price is there. We've included the VRT. Now, for some time, the VRT wasn't included. So just to get you off to an idea of how this works, so in terms of the services that we offer inspection reports. I mean, there's a mechanical and condition reports. Obviously, we do all the vehicle transport, bring them in, vehicle registration, that's Irish plates and VRT. We can offer a 12-month warranty, and part of all that process now is customs clearance, which is new. There are still some big savings to be had, in fairness, and one of the big issues that people have nowadays is basically choice. I mean, there's so few cars in the market now that even if you're paying the same amount for a UK car, really it still makes sense to have a look on our site and see if there's something there that's slightly different from maybe an offer elsewhere. So just getting going. You can start finding cars in various different ways. You can put in a make here, or simply I use just the used car symbol, and that brings us into the main database. Now, there are loads of different vehicles to choose from, not as many as there used to be before, only about up to 2,000 regularly, and that's because vehicles nowadays have to be VAT qualifying. And what that means is that we can claim the VAT back off the UK government and use it against the VAT due coming into Ireland. That wasn't always the case in the past. Many of the vehicles would have been called margin vehicles, and VAT would only have been due on the margin. So if a dealer bought a car in the UK for £20,000 and sold it for £22,000, just hypothetically, he would only pay VAT on that €2,000 margin. Whereas now, the entire car, whatever price he buys it at or she buys it at, that attracts full 23% VAT. So you need to be able to reduce the price of the car by claiming back the VAT in the UK in order to make it viable. So that's why there's fewer cars now to choose from. You can't just go onto Auto Trader and go, oh, I like that. You need to go and check out which vehicles are actually VAT qualifying. Now there is a video on our car sourcing page that you can look at in terms of VAT qualifying if you don't see what you like on our website and you'd like to find something somewhere else. So anybody who's used this site before, just to make it clear, these are auction vehicles going to auction in the UK, and we are buying them at auction. Now, although that is the case, this is the source from which trade buys in the UK, and used to buy from Ireland too before Brexit. Obviously it's more difficult now. Prices are more complicated in that there's customs and so on, but still there's still a fairly healthy trade from Ireland. I mean, it's the only trade that's really left is buying VAT qualifying stuff from the auctions in the UK. So it's the best quality stuff. There are small things with it. I mean, literally stuff, that cosmetic things that you wouldn't notice with the vast majority of them. Other cars are declared if there are other issues, but there are no such thing as a clock car. There's no such thing as a car that hasn't been history checked. Everything that's on this site has been history checked by the auction houses. I mean, this is all preliminary stuff that people expect before they go and try and buy a car. And there's a headache for auction houses if they don't do it, because then they just all come back, or cars come back. It's the same with any garage. So it's not that they do that. They never did it, but obviously it's in their best interest to have clean sales. So just getting into it then, I said I wouldn't pontificate, but I did, so apologies. Anyway, so getting into it, there are various different grades of vehicle, and that's how the auctions, determine the quality of the car, the level of cleanliness of the car. That's probably more appropriate. Looking at the various different options that are available, we can start off, say, for instance, with a nice BMW. Now, we talked earlier on about which cars to pick from. The petrol electrics are particularly attractive at the moment. Everybody seems to be into those. Not many of them. You get your 530s and your 330s. They're the most popular. Looking at the 330, this is an example of it here, 1992. Going through the details there, it's all fairly straightforward. You've got your mileage. That's converted to kilometers here. And then you've got your reg number, so you can do your history check. So for instance, if you want to check your MOT, you can go in here, paste, continue, and that'll give you an idea of what the history of the MOT of the vehicle is. That's one of the advantages, I guess, with UK cars still, is they have a nice history to them. And a lot of Japanese stuff coming in now, really, there are no history checks to them, and they have a reputation for being clocked, and there's problems with tires because they're not up to EU standards and whatnot. So, whereas a Japanese car may seem like a deal at first, there are difficulties with things like Thatcham alarms, or even just security, immobilizer devices, not being present on these vehicles. I mean, and again, it's an outside the EU, so it's an entirely different standardization protocol. So from that point of view, I'm not trying to scare people off Japanese stuff, but the advantages of UK cars, even though they are a little bit more expensive now, and there's less of them, is that they are still very checkable, if you want to call it that. So going back then to the car itself, you can see this is a grade 1, so that's the best. Grade 1, 2, 3, 4 are the cars we put up. There is a grade 5, we don't put them up. And so grade 1, 2, 3, 4 are the cars. Now, 1 to 2, 1 and 2 are the best, or the most desirable. They're the closest to new. And when you look at, this is the condition report that comes with the grade. So when you open that, you'll see it says grade 1. And there'll always be some list of some items, even as small as they are. Anything up to 50 millimeters really is honestly invisible. You can't see it. I mean, door chip, this is literally where stones chipped off the car, but they are meticulous in that, at least. Wheel scratches, you'll come across a lot of those in cars that are used, no matter what you do. They call it wheel rash. It's just where someone has touched off the curb. Again, you can get cars, you can get wheels refurbed if you're very fussy about that kind of thing. It doesn't cost the earth. So that car is a lovely car, brand new to a large extent, nice mileage, 50,000, that will be desirable. And that's something a lot of people go for. So going through the rest of the information, you can then see the mechanical report. Mechanical report's very clean. When it comes to a vehicle, that's really what you want. You will see some things like tire thread, or TPMS, which is the tire pressure management system, is activated. When cars sit around for a while, the sensors pick up changes in tire pressure, and that might come up, but they can just be reinflated. That's no big deal. The thing you want to be watching for are things like engine management things, or something like the engine smoking. This is really the area here that you want to be concerned about. Or noise in the engine bay. That's something that might come up, but generally, vehicles are very clean. So this is a grade 1 anyway, so you'd expect that to be top notch, which it is. So then in terms of the digital history, you can see here that surface information is 3 services. And if you look at the digital service, which is the best, BMW do a lot of digital servicing, as do many of the other major makes, but 3 services, 3 of the main dealers. So that's ideally what you want in terms of top quality. Now you will pay for that at auction. That's something to be aware of. There is a price here that comes at 33419. 1500 would be what we'd recommend for anybody going in with a bid at auction on these particular types of cars. They're clean, they're rare. Even today, vehicles are still going up in price. Despite all the claims that inflation is coming down, there is still an awful lot of interest, especially in good quality vehicles, and prestige marks like BMW. So you're going to have to pay for it, and like 1500 would be the top end of it for most vehicles. Grade 1, M Sport, you could push 2000. I'll give you my advice on it when it comes to it if you do decide to go ahead, but it's something to keep in mind. To place the deposit box, fairly straightforward. You just put in your details, you select which warranty you want. If you want any, you don't have to pick one. And then you just accept the terms and conditions if you want home delivery, and then just click on final price, and that'll come through to me. Now, you won't be expected to make a deposit straight off. I mean, I'll check the car out, I'll come back to you, I'll give you my opinion on the car, I'll look at the condition and mechanical reports, and I'll also give you my advice in terms of what the price should be. Now, so you'll see the VRT is here now as well. This is something we just got back up recently, a hugely difficult task, made more difficult by the inclusion now of NOx for VRT, and you'll see that with some of the cars, even though this is a UK platform, they will include the NOx, in the equipment, under the equipment, even though it's not relevant to them, because obviously there's still Irish buyers coming in buying this stuff. So that gives you an example of how still there is a demand and there is a market for these things in Ireland. So your BMW, say, for instance. Now, just, I mean, like the type of cars that we generally sell, I mean, they're mostly electric nowadays. I mean, there's, some interesting ones in terms of Skoda. They brought in, a lot of new cars recently. One in particular that seems to be of most interest to a lot of people is this Enyaq 4. So again, similar to the BMW, there's not much of a difference. The only thing I didn't mention last time are these dates down here. So that's your registration date. So obviously 26th of August 22 was when it was registered. Unfortunately, this is a bit back to front, so it's the 6th to 7th. So that's the 6th of April or 6th of February. That went to sale. And then down here again, you've got British Car Auctions off sale. So that's what BOS means. And Lex, is the name of the company. There's a couple of different companies that are ex-lease companies. I mean, you'll see them as you go through what the names are. Some of them are just basic fleet sales, but they're all ex-lease vehicles coming back from lease plan, or auto. What are them? Alphabet are another important one. There's a lot of them there that you can look up. If you just look up the most, the most successful leasing companies, you'll see all the vehicles. You'll see that they're represented with regards to these cars down here under the auction date, because it's buy. We put that in as well to give people confidence and to let people know where the car is coming from. Again, it's a grade 1, nice vehicle. You can look through that. There's not a huge amount different from what you'll have seen before. The electric stuff is of interest to people at the moment. And just to give people an idea about electric vehicles, if the car that you're buying was sold on the Irish market, the UK market, whatever, for more than €50,000, well, then it doesn't qualify for the VRT exemption, which to a large extent is €5,000. So for a car that is €50,000 or less in terms of what they call the open market selling price, that's what it was originally sold for in the open market, well, then it will be able to avail of this €5,000. So that's why you see zero VRT. Now, apparently that's supposed to change sometime in the middle of the year. So you want to get your skates on for this stuff, because you don't know what they're going to do with it. And certainly the drums are saying that it's going to change and that the VRT exemption will be removed. You'll see with other cars that the VRT exemption, there is a VRT price, even though it's an electric. And again, that goes back to what I just said, is that it was originally over €50,000 in value. So anyway, looking at what we might call here sort of a lower grade car, it's not even lower grade. Grade 3 would be about average condition. Grade 1 and 2 would be superior condition to what would be typically expected. 3 is the middle. So even with 16,000 miles in a couple of years, people use cars and there are bits and pieces. So again, a lot of wheel scratches, some people are just a little bit uncareful with but again, like when you look at the wheels, they're not obviously overmarked. You're just going to get some curbing, and that's part of it. And again, apparently there's a dent here of some sort. When it comes to that kind of stuff, really, it's methodical in the way they do it, but it's overkill too, to a large extent, because there probably isn't the level of damage that you might expect. So looking at this here, there's a quarter panel. I can't see anything there. I'm sure there is something there, and it's probably obvious, but it's not obvious in this photograph. But it just goes to show you the level that a grade 3 is at. I mean, still very, very good conditions. A couple of chips here and there. They take photographs of what apparently are the most significant ones. So these are the orange ones here, the two you've seen. So these will be considered less significant as we move down. So that'll give you an idea of what you can expect. So look, the cars are in very good condition. They wouldn't sell. We wouldn't have the success with them if they weren't. So we're happy to always give you our 2 cents as well on the situation. So I'm looking at the mechanical report. Again, very clean. Nothing to see there. Really ready to go. Lovely car. So looking at other types of vehicles, I mean, another vehicle that we come up with a lot of interest from people in is the Jaguar I-Pace. So they're a good looking car. They are a good looking car. About the same size as a 3 Series for anybody who's interested. And you can see here now there's a big VRT price in these guys because basically they're over 50,000 euros and they don't qualify for the exemption of 5,000 euros. It's not an exemption, but you know what I mean, 5,000 against the VRT price. And as a result then there is a VRT element to be included. So again, you can see the dealer service history is what you're looking at. Lots of extras. Just let me see, is there anything there else that you can look at there? That's a grade 2. I think you might have seen a grade 2 already of me. Yeah, you might probably have seen a grade 2. And a grade 2 again, no photographs this time. Literally nothing considered significant enough. Again, anything up to 50 millimeters is tiny or hard to see. You know, it's 5 centimeters. You know, and on a wheel, you know, it's just there, but you know, you don't see it in the context of the vehicle overall. So it's another one, and I had an idea. Oh yeah, so just to give you an idea of kind of the lowest condition. So another one we do sell a few of is the Hyundai. Well, we sell a lot of the Hyundais. That Ioniq 5, if I can say it properly. It's very popular. You know, huge range. It's 280 miles. It's like 400 kilometers. Again, another one we sell a lot of is the Audi. I don't know, we'll have any today. Probably won't, but we'll have a look. Audi e-tron, yeah, that's another very popular car. Another vehicle with about 350 kilometers on it for its size is quite remarkable. It's another very good-looking car with a lot of extras. The Technica is the most popular one, and it comes with a lot of extras. I was going to try and find grade 4 there just to give you a quick idea before I bore you all to death. I understand it's a long video, but just stick with me for a moment now. I'll just have a look at this and put any fears to rest. Now, it may be not your cup of tea. The Tucson, that's it there, yeah. Is that the 4? Yeah, there's grade 4 there. So, I mean, look, some people are just rougher with cars than others. Again, I'll just show you how popular these vehicles are, even though it's a diesel. You know, in the UK, NOx emissions mean nothing. There's no tax associated with that. There's no benefit to it being shown. In fact, they started to remove it from many of the V5s, which is their logbooks, in 2020, because it was just not being used. So the reason why they're putting this up is because they're popular in Ireland, and that'll give you an idea where they're going. They're going to dealers, you know. So grade 4, looking at the condition report. Now, look, there's going to be bits and pieces to this, you know, 30 millimeters significant, and you'll see some of it here. So the bonnet. Now, it's not that smudging down there. There's a dent there, and I think I can see it just there, but, you know. And there's another dent here, but you can click on the individual photographs and have a good look. You can see there's a clear dent there, and that's some significant wear and tear, no doubt about it. But if you were inclined to be a little bit ready to do some work, well then we can help you with a lot of this stuff because it's really cosmetic, you know. I mean, most of it would cost like literally nothing. I mean, most garages could remove these with very simple tools. You know, things like cracked window screens, you'll get them replaced by your insurance company. You just have to be cute about it. I'm not going to say how, but you know, if you're driving down the M50 and all of a sudden you get this crack in your windscreen and you just brought your car in, you know, it's covered. So again, like, you know, you got smokers who, you know, look, let's face it, we've all had a cigarette at some stage in a car and probably didn't know where the ash went. So it does happen, and it can be fixed. There are upholsterers that will work on that and do it for very little. So for all that, you know, it's not really a mechanical issue. And going back to the vehicle, I mean, really it's the mechanics you want to look at. And, you know, if you're very scared about well, there you go. There's an idea there, maybe what's something you want to keep an eye on. So there's, you know, it's 97,000 miles. Engines, as they mature, especially diesel, do make different noises. That can be an issue. But if it is flagged, well, then there is something there. And look, honestly, I would avoid this car. So, you know, that's what I would say about this. So look, in general, there is a lot of information on the website. You can go to our FAQ. You can go through the various different how does it work and whatnot. I think I've answered most of it here, but in general, how it works is, just very quickly, towards the end, You look at a car. Once you see a car you like, you send it on to us by clicking on place a deposit. You won't be asked to actually place a deposit until such time as I return with an email outlining the details on the car, just saying I'm okay with the mechanical condition report, just bringing to your attention anything that might be significant, around, say, for instance, the condition or the mechanical report, like we just saw there. There might be an issue there. I'll bring that to your attention. You can check out the MOT yourself. You can do your own history check, which you should do. You're paying a lot of money. It doesn't cost very much to do that. And then obviously on top of that, then we'll have a look at what vehicles like that are selling for at auction, and we'll come back to you with an idea of what you should have in terms of reserve. This is an auction. You need a reserve. It's not like buying at your local garage. It is something to get your head around. Honestly, the quality is excellent. We've been doing it for 10 years. You can see the reviews. None of them are about the quality of the cars. Maybe more about me, but not about the quality of the cars. And the thing is, we're an honest down the line company. We've been at this for a long time. We know what we're doing, and the cars are good and they are value for money, and there's extra choice. So a lot of the stuff that's still coming in, you can't get here anymore. You can't get in the north. They're basically being cleared out of Northern Irish cars, and of course there are pitfalls in the north going up there. If you buy the wrong car that wasn't originally from Northern Ireland, you'll end up having to pay all the taxes without any of the benefit because you're paying higher prices up in the north. So look, UK Car Imports is back. It has a limited number of cars at the moment. We will be expanding with time. We have plans on that. If that doesn't work for you, you can go on over to our car sourcing site. Now we do charge a tenner to do the prices up because it does take some time considering all the different elements, this customs and God knows what. The last point of advice I'll give you is if you are looking for a used car and you want to have the best price, because of EU regulations, there's a relief called return of goods relief. So if a car is less than 3 years old and was originally manufactured in the EU, so all of your German and French makes and so on, then you don't have to pay the 10% customs duty. So this bit here that we mentioned here, that won't be included in the price of the car. So you will see some 2020 cars or 21 cars, whenever you look at this, 22, whatever, that are actually cheaper than the year before because that 10% duty is not included. Because the way the customs is calculated is they take the price of the car, they add the 10% duty, and then they calculate the VAT on top of that. So it's a snowball effect that really kind of can build up. But having said that, with time, prices have started to stabilize out between Ireland and the UK. Excuse me, and things are definitely in a position now where you can see fairly clearly what the prices are. You can make your own guesstimates, decisions, whatnot. You can compare and contrast. And you've got lovely condition mechanical reports which we stand over. So if that car arrives and it's not as described, we'll make sure we bring it up to that standard. And that's something to consider as well. So all things being equal, UK Car Imports is still a very handy resource. To think of using and to compare and contrast, and to always keep an eye on, to keep yourself competitive and to keep your options open. So listen, thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon.